Hey everybody, it is once again that time of the month. That sounds strange. For
Is
me,
there something about
sounds even
you're not
stranger.
telling us?
Yeah. Hey, don't, this is a very inclusive panel here, okay? Anyway, welcome everybody to my monthly Patreon Hangout. As always, I'm very grateful to be joined by several of my Patreon patrons, and if anyone watching is a patron, you would like to join in the fun, we have a few slots open yet. You can go to my Patreon page, go to the activity feed. There's a join link there. If not, please feel free to watch and enjoy the fun. So before we went on the air, I think someone had, oh no, Christie, you wanted to talk about what I have coming up on my channel. Is that right?
Yeah, well, because we sponsor you on Patreon, we can see your milestones and the goals that you have for yourself. And I know that your voice is a voice for atheism and liberalism and feminism that I would like to see get more exposure and get out there more and get a bigger audience. So it was just a question about how your milestone goals will sort of fit into, where you want to take your content.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as far as the atheism thing, the atheism, the An Atheist Read series that I do starts again in January, and the first book that I'm doing is God's Not Dead, which seems like
Is
it's
wait for that one.
Is that the book? Was the movie based on that, or is that a separate thing?
the movie's based on it, but the movie is completely different. The movie is more like a tie-in. It takes the title. It would be cool if Kevin Sorbo was in the book too.
Hopefully the book
Kevin
doesn't.
Poster up in the back, just.
Hopefully the book doesn't misrepresent us as badly as the movie did.
Oh, I wouldn't hold out too much hope for that. I haven't read much of the book yet. I try not to. I try to read the book as I'm doing the series. So whichever portion of the book the video covers is the portion that I've just read that week. So I haven't read much of the book yet, but I get the feeling. I mean, I don't think any of the apologetics books that I've reviewed so far, and I've done 9, and this next one starting will be the 10th one. I don't think any of them have fairly represented atheism. I think the closest was C.S. Lewis, who barely mentioned it.
Do you think there's any chance, excuse me, that any of them will at least attempt to represent atheism as we are and not as they think
I mean,
they want us to be?
That would be nice. I don't know. The strange thing is, like, for some of them, like, believe it or not, for Ray Comfort, who is the most out to lunch, like, scientifically of all of them.
He's most out there at all.
Yeah, but he has the most one-on-one personal experience actually talking with real atheists. So he, at least you would think, he at least knows better.
Yeah.
So he, at least when he misrepresents atheism, he's not speaking from honest ignorance or innocence. Like, he's spoken with enough atheists.
He knows he's descending.
That he knows that most atheists are not people who are angry at God or who had terrible experiences in the church or are just, wanting to live hedonistic lifestyles or whatever. I mean, he knows that that's, or at least he ought to, given the amount of interaction he's had. But yeah, I don't know. It would be nice to read an apologetics book that doesn't misrepresent anything. 'Cause, I mean, I try not to misrepresent Christianity. I mean, when I talk about it, I don't know how well I succeed, but I try not to be willfully, openly, disrespectful or misrepresentative of it when I talk about it.
I think that that's a problem as well, because we are set in our own ways, so it's hard to come around thinking how they do as well.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's one of the cool things that I like about doing that series, is that it gives you sort of an opportunity, like reading a book written by a Christian intended to defend Christianity. I mean, even though a lot of it seems really dishonest and a lot of it seems really calculated, you know, to just sort of pat believers on the head and say, oh, don't worry, you got it right. All the people who disagree with you, they got it wrong. Even with that, it still gives you like a view into the mindset.
Yeah,
of,
it can be a
of
little hard
Christian person.
to argue sometimes, though, because of how prevalent the, I guess you could say, the no true Scotsman fallacy is. You know, you can start to criticize one thing, and then someone else will say, oh, well, no, you know, that's not really what real Christians believe. So it can be kind of hard to address some points sometimes because they just kind of say, oh, no, that's not really what we're trying to say.
Well, it's the old moving the goalposts trick. I mean, the second you try to pin them down, they want to, you know, aim at something else. And the second, you know, you indicate to them that, oh, this isn't really Christianity, they go for something more general, you know, more of a deist position. I mean, that trick is as old as the hills, and it doesn't smell as good.
The problem is as well, if you start out with something that's made up, it doesn't matter how much you make up in between either. So you can never really pin them down.
Yeah,
I'll
that's
tell you
true.
something. That plays to something that I've believed for a long time. That is, the second you introduce the first irrationality, you know, it's like opening Pandora's box, because there's no end to the irrationalities that you can run into subsequent to that.
Well,
But
yeah,
those-
go ahead.
I was going to say those irrationalities are precisely what ends up undermining it for people who are thoughtful enough to read about it and think about it and try to figure out if it makes sense to them. And then when they realize it doesn't make sense to them, it all starts to very quickly fall apart. So.
Yeah, and if you can get sort of your foot in the door with a religious person who is thoughtful or self-reflective enough, you know, to be open to that possibility. I mean, pointing out the fact that, well, if you're willing to accept this much irrationality or this much without evidence, then why aren't you willing to accept this much? You know, like once you shine a light on that and say, okay, if you believe this, if you, like, for instance, like with miracles, I like to talk about that. If you believe that we should accept that the miracles of Jesus actually happened on the basis of the Gospels, then why don't you accept miracle accounts from other religions with similar evidence, or in some cases even more compelling evidence? I always talk about the fact that the Mormon Church has signed eyewitness testimony from people. We know their names.
Yeah, but they don't have golden plates.
Yeah, of course not. Yeah, but I mean, you know, the Bible, the New Testament, was written by anonymous people. I mean, we know what tradition tells us their names are, but we don't have a signed first edition of the Gospel of Luke. But
and that's one of the arguments they use so much, is that, you know, that we have these eyewitness testimonies from, you know, quote unquote recent, you know, the closest accounts, which of course are still decades after the fact. But yeah, from that standpoint, the Mormon Church has a much more compelling argument. Yeah,
the Mormon Church, in the back, and I think they still reprint it in the back of the Book of Mormon. They have the testimony of, I think, the 4 witnesses and the 8 witnesses, or the 3 witnesses and the 8 witnesses, and they sign their names on a document that says, we saw the angel, or we saw the golden plates. And I still don't believe it.
Then most of the eyewitnesses for the Mormon Church later recount their eyewitnesses.
That's true. Well, a few of them did. Yeah, not all of them did, but a few of them did.
Yeah, the real shame is they didn't get somebody with a camera and get a couple of daguerreotypes or tintypes. Right. Here's me and the angel. Here's me, Joseph Smith, and the angel. Here's me, Joseph Smith, Auntie May, and the angel.
Yeah, because if it happened today and nobody took a selfie with the angel, I mean, nobody would believe it for a second. Like, really? You didn't think to pull your phone out when the angel showed up?
Reminds me of when we have the you know, people trying to argue for UFO pictures and stuff. You see, I like a picture I saw, it has a caption that says, "Oh, look, UFO! Quick, grab the shittiest camera we have."
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, well, you know, I was watching one of those ghost documentaries a couple months ago on Netflix, and they were telling the story of this there was supposedly there was a haunted house, and the people brought in paranormal investigators, and they set up video cameras in the room where the haunting supposedly was the most intense, and the people who were there claim that they saw this, they heard these, you know, noises that had no visible source, and they saw this, you know, supernatural blue glow fill the room. None of which appears on the tapes at all. I mean, there's no, they recorded everything during when this supposedly was happening, and then they went back and watched the tapes, and none of that is anywhere on the tapes at all. And the paranormal investigator said, well, that's because what we saw was just for us.
Oh, please.
Now, come on.
Photons don't discriminate, boys and girls.
Exactly. If they were hitting your eyeball, they were hitting the lens of that camera.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I would love to do? I would love to take something like that, take a house that is a likely, quote, haunted house, end quote,
Right.
rig it with very well hidden cameras and infrared floods so that you see everything, but you really have to know what you were looking for to find them, and then turn the Ghostbusters loose. Just turn them loose and watch them either, number one, make fools of themselves, or number two, you know, basically pull their pants down and see, oh, you know, they're trying to make us believe that thus and so is going on. Hey, you get enough camera coverage, their pants are going to be loitering around their ankles, Mom.
Yeah, yeah, completely. That's something that, I mean, even with really truly devoutly religious people, I try to maintain a modicum of respect for them, because I feel like, well, if they, I don't believe it, I think it's ridiculous, but if they truly believe it and it means something to them, like, you know, who am I to just rip it away from them and say, you're an idiot? But with ghosts, and especially with like paranormal investigators or people who make money giving ghost tours or haunted house tours, I mean, I just have no tolerance for that at all. I just think that's con artistry. You know, I mean, I see no reason to be nice to those people or to be respectful of that at all. That's just like, oh, come on, you're a grown up.
Yeah, it's up there with their, you know, oh, second law of thermodynamics. Oh, you know, God must exist because we're a closed system. Sorry, what's that bright thing right up there? That is,
right. What?
It's actually coming through my window even as we speak.
Yeah. It looks like you're being touched by the finger of God right now.
He's about to be raptured.
About that.
Yes, he's about to be raptured. But anyways, but back to what Christie was asking. The other main, in terms of like just the atheism, feminist, liberal sort of content that I produce. One of my main goals, if the Patreon campaign continues to pick up steam, is I would love to start doing a podcast at some point. And podcasting, I mean, I have friends who do podcasts now, and I did one sort of a half-ass, just sort of mostly for me podcast, like years and years ago, before I ever did YouTube stuff, with me and my wife. And it was so much fun. And I mean, some of the podcasts I listen to now just are so inspiring and are so like, man, this is so good. Like I would love to do something like this, you know. So at some point in the future, when I get to that milestone, I would love to do a podcast. And the podcast, in terms of content, like it would basically be a condensed sort of weekly audio version of what I do on the YouTube channel in general. You know, it would be, I would talk about some atheism, but it wouldn't be like an atheist podcast. I would probably talk about politics, but it wouldn't be a political podcast, that sort of thing.
Yeah, and that's why I like your approach, because it's all of those values are in there, but you don't beat people over the head with it.
Well, according to some, I do.
Oh, some people get upset no matter what you do.
Some people just like to be butthurt.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me. I mean,
yeah.
Steve?
Yeah.
Yeah, have you ever considered, I realize that I'm immediately thinking of David Gamma Atheist as it comes to this, but have you ever considered doing something like this, but as a round table with a topic?
Yeah.
That's one of the goals, isn't it? So
Yeah,
a
well,
weekly live podcast?
Yeah, the podcast. If I do the podcast, that would be. I don't know if it would be a roundtable every week, but it would be. I would love to do the podcast live and have guests on the podcast.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
this is my second one of these, and I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah.
But I think it'd be neat to, have a round table where, you can invite people who bring a certain point of view,
Sure.
and just take a particular topic, and really dig into it. I think that would be very much worth the doing.
Yeah, that's something I would like to do because I love doing these things with you guys too. I love being able to, have conversations with people who come from different backgrounds who might agree with me, might not agree with me, but you can have like a friendly discussion. I've done it a few times on the channel before I started doing these. Mostly about inconsequential topics. Like I did one about when the new Superman movie came out last year. I did one about that. I think that was probably the first one I ever did.
Well, I'm also thinking about your two appearances on The Place and how impressed I was with that, and things of that nature. Where you can have disparate points of view and just get in there and dig. I love that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And the Place is such a great. The New Covenant group is such a cool group. I always love going on their stuff, and the Place and Christopher Mowdy's show.
You did a Bible Reloaded chick track, didn't you?
Yeah. I did. I think I did 2 of them actually.
Oh, okay.
At least one that I know of.
I think I did 2 of them, and Jake and Hugo know all they have to do is ask, and I'll do pretty much anything they want. Especially now that they have more subs than me. I'm gonna be real nice to them now.
Are you familiar with the there's 2 YouTubers, Logic and the Armored Skeptic?
Yeah, actually,
I can't remember. Were you in that huge collab they did like a couple weeks ago where it had like?
You got name dropped. You got name dropped in it.
Yeah.
I
was supposed to be. I was supposed to be in it, and Armored Skeptic invited me and even wrote something for me, but I just didn't have time to do it.
Because when I just started watching that thing, there was gonna be another video, and then of course like all the people I follow started popping up, and it is kind of like the best of YouTube for me.
Yeah, he invited me, and he was really great about it because he wrote a little thing for me to do and everything, and it would have been really good, but I just didn't have time to do it. The week I had set aside like extra time to film my parts for it. That was the week that I was sick. I had a really terrible cold, and it was all I could do to keep up with my normal stuff, and I just didn't have time to do it. But I would have. The video was great. I would love to have been a part of it. But it was he invited me, but it wasn't. I just couldn't make it. But yeah, Bible Reloaded invited me to do a. I think it goes up on their channel next week, this coming week. It's like a guest video on their channel. So, and I shot it last week, and it's pretty funny. So hopefully people will like that.
Cool.
It's in the vein of a series I've done before, but it's a little bit different. I don't want to spoil it too much, but
okay. I'll have to watch out for that.
Yeah, it should. Hopefully, I think it's funny, but then again, I wrote it, and I'm insufferably pleased with myself. At pretty much all times. Yeah, and go ahead.
Speaking of writing, Steve, what's the latest for Neon Reel? Anything shaking there?
We are kind of in a holding pattern. We have some things that I know we still need to shoot for the project that we've kind of been working on for the last couple of months, but we haven't really. I think it's just a matter of people just not having time to do it. That's sort of the bane of low budget filmmaking, where everybody has other jobs. It's just sort of okay. We just need to find time to actually do it. One of the next scenes we need to shoot is something that I'm looking forward to when we ever actually do it, because it involves me being on camera. Which I don't know if you've noticed, but I kind of enjoy.
Does it involve you losing the beard again?
No, actually, That's sort of
Because it did the last time. I remember that. That's a good couple of years ago, isn't it?
that's the last time I was clean shaven. When I did, I shaved for
Yeah,
we
the devil in what?
yeah, the Darkness and Tom Marcos.
The Darkness. Yeah, there you are.
Darkness and Tom Marcos. Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, it's not that like I mean I don't. It's not that I just really like having a beard now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm just used to it. I like having.
I know the feeling. I've worn a mustache for 40+ years.
Yeah. It's like, and my dad always had a beard when I was growing up, and my dad actually shaved his a couple years ago. Now my dad is clean shaven, and I'm the one with the beard, which is kind of weird.
Well, it's the conservation of hair law, I think.
Exactly. We can't both be bearded. And then my brother, I have a younger brother, and he kind of goes back and forth. Like at Thanksgiving, he had a beard. The time I saw him before that, he didn't. So he kind of, you know. But yeah, Neon Reel is sort of in a holding pattern. The project that we're working on is really interesting and really exciting. But we haven't really moved forward on it really since the last time we did one of these. So, you know. But believe me, if there's ever anything Neon Reel related that I can show people, I will be like I will pimp it until it is broken. Like there's just people will get sick of hearing about it because I love pushing that stuff. But speaking, yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say thank you for the Thanksgiving riff, the MST3K homage. That was so. I was laughing so hard at some of those points. It was so great. Thank you so much for that.
I'm so glad people like that. I'm so glad people like that.
Well,
I get really insecure about that. Go ahead.
As I commented on that, Steve, I grew up with those stupid Coronet films, and I look back at them, and I mean, I never saw the one that you're talking that you used. But, yeah, there were a lot of them they used in history class and a few other things. And, I mean, some of them were okay, but, God, I mean, you really had to choose a real groaner, didn't you?
Oh, those are the best.
Yeah. There's another one.
When I taught like qualitative research course, and we used a date with our family. Because there's no names. It's mother, father, sister, brother, and the women are making themselves look nice and refreshed for the men of the family, and it's just ridiculous when you watch it now. They're the ones that are the worst are the ones that are the best because it shows you how far we've come as a society.
Yeah. And the Mystery Science Theater version of that one is hysterical.
Yes.
The Mystery Science Theater riff of A Date with Your Family is one of my favorite Mystery Science Theater things they ever did. It just kills me.
Yeah. It's a way to sneak it in the classroom. That way I got to watch it every year. You know?
Yeah, but I want to do those more often. It's just that they're so hard to write. I
would imagine on your own because they used to write them as a group.
So they had like 5 or 6 people writing them.
Yeah.
And well, the hard thing about this most recent one was I took pretty much a whole week to write it.
Wow.
I mean, just writing it here and there, or like as I had
watching it
time.
and thinking it up, right?
Yeah. So I had to watch that video like 4 or 5 times before I ever even even recorded it. And I mean, one of the things that's tough about it is by the time you get to the end of it and you have a finished script, then you go through and you rehearse it and you realize you wrote too many jokes. Like there's no space. You know,
you have to edit. Ooh.
Right. And then you have to leave enough air so that people watching will get a sense of what the actual movie is. So it's not just you talking over stuff, because if it's just you talking over stuff, it's not going to be funny because nobody's going to be able to watch the movie that you're making fun of.
Right. Yeah.
So
no, I feel
the jokes are going to play.
I feel a new Patreon milestone coming on.
Yeah, a Patreon milestone should be like, I'll do a whole movie
for $2,500 a month.
Oh my God, yes. Jeez.
Steve, have you talked to George Soros? Maybe he could help you out.
Yeah, I should write him a letter. Hey, George, listen, we have some things in common, except our vast fortunes. Um, yeah, I don't know. But I would like to do another one. I would like to because I did a Thanksgiving one last year, and I did this year for Thanksgiving, and I would like to do them more often. And there's plenty of material. Like if you go on Internet Archive and just look up Coronet films or old educational films, like there are just pages and pages of public domain movies that you can use for that sort of thing. So there, I will definitely do more, but it's just a matter of not only finding the time, but like just finding the motivation and you know.
Yeah. I think that would be if some way you and Hugo and Jake could watch one and then just record you guys riffing off of it and have a joint credit. I think that would be.
I'll tell you what I would
take
love.
some of the work off.
I'll tell you what I would really love to do, and we've talked about this privately, although I guess it's not private anymore. Not with Hugo and Jake, although I love those guys and I would do anything they ask me to. But you know, when we do those, when they do those chick track things, you know, it's just improvised. I mean, they may have prepared some things on their own, but when I did it with them, like I just sort of read the chick track 5 minutes before we started, and then we were just kind of making it up as we went along. We didn't write anything together for it. But I would love to do something like that, where it was like a writing collaboration and then an actual video collaboration with Jason with a D, because he has the Opinionville puppets.
Okay.
And I have Stuffy and Toby Benson.
Oh, yes.
The other various characters, and you know, I would love to do something. Because he and I do.
Leaving out Millicent, she'll have a snit.
Yeah, Millicent. You know, people love Millicent and people love Jack McPherson. I got a comment from a guy on the most recent Stuffy video complaining that Jack wasn't in it because he hasn't been in the last two, and they're like, "Where's Jack McPherson?"
Sleeping off a drunk.
Yeah, he's busy with his duties as the new Attorney General. Which I am going to pick up on. I do want to. I want that to be a recurring thing. Is I did a dog versus dog video a couple weeks ago where he suddenly came under the impression that he had been appointed Attorney General, and I want to keep that going. I want him to continue to think that. So, but as far as other new content coming out on the channel in the next, starting in 2015. I also want to start doing. It's not just that I want to. I've already got it planned. I'm going to start doing a new movie review series. That will be. It'll be a slightly different format in terms of how it's released than my usual stuff. It'll be released in 5 segments for 1 week out of every month. And it'll be sort of like, it won't be the same as the movie reviews that I've done before. Where it's just me in front of the black backdrop and just kind of going extemporaneously. Like, I think I'm probably going to write them before I shoot them, and they'll be shorter. I'd like to keep them in about the 5-minute, 6-minute range, kind of like the 5 Stupid Things videos. And they'll be the movies that I do every month will be related by a theme. Like for January, the first series, the January series, will be movies that have anniversaries in 2015, like a movie that came out in 2005 for the 10th anniversary, and a movie that came out in 1995 and 2000, like that.
That's cool. More original than top 10 lists.
Yeah. Or lists of 5 things.
Yeah.
Where did I ever come up with that? I don't know what it is about numbered lists that the internet just adores, but like even on BuzzFeed, where it's just a random number.
Yeah, 22 things.
Yeah,
it's simple, and it's mostly superficial, and it's easy to do.
Yeah, 17 amazing pictures of the Taj Mahal. It's like, okay.
Actually, I could supply you with 17 pictures of the Taj Mahal. I was in 1985.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, very cool. And I mean, my favorite phrase is, it comes to, until you've seen it with your own 2 eyes, you have no idea about the Taj Mahal.
I find it just kind of like gross.
I'm sorry. I love the cloud.
If you've ever seen like An Idiot Abroad with Carl Pilkington or whatever, like they're going on like the river behind it, and it's just like, oh, it's kind of nasty. It's just like a fence and like shrubs, dirty water everywhere.
Oh, yes.
Of course, Carl would find the least inspiring part of it.
Yeah.
Carl
The one
Pilkington-
thing that very few people know about the Taj Mahal is that Shah Jahan was going to build another one in black marble on the other side of the Jumna.
Oh, wow.
And- Yeah, and I mean, he was getting to be a little too spendy, and as a result, that's my putty cat walking across the screen there.
What is hashtag cut for Steve?
And
that's a campaign I've created.
A post-Movember campaign?
Yeah. Remember
That's
that
interesting.
cut for Bieber stuff?
Yeah.
Doesn't care about like stupid. I always thought that was funny. Long hits for Steve. Oh
I-
God, I remember learning about that in my government class, and everyone just cracking up. Bong hits for Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh, Steve, on the subject
Yeah.
of movie reviews, do you ever watch the CinemaSins channel?
Oh, yeah.
I
Yeah.
love those videos. They make me so happy.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I love those and Screen Junkies.
Yeah, Screen Junkies, yeah, that's the other one. And How It Should Have Ended.
How It Should Have Ended is
yeah,
fun.
I've watched a few of those. Those are good.
Yeah, I like all of those. Yeah, those are usually I don't subject my wife to my YouTube watching habits, but every once in a while, without warning, I'll just like put a CinemaSins video on TV. She'll be like, "What are we watching?" It's like Everything Wrong with X-Men: The Last Stand. I'm like, oh.
Or just the summary of the Super Friends Cafe, the bits at the end.
Oh yeah, yeah. Those are so funny.
They're really good, yeah.
I watch those and I think, damn, I wish I had written that. 'Cause I could write hilarious conversations between Superman and Batman all day. Like that's just so fun to do.
Yeah.
I wish
the
I
red
had-
letter media stuff, though, that isn't a class by itself, as far as I'm concerned. That I saw the Star Wars reviews. I think I had to wait a day just because my sides were aching so much.
Yeah, they're great. I remember.
Yes.
Yeah. when the Phantom Menace review came out, I loved it so much. I went back and watched all of the Star Trek ones that he had done because when he had done all of the Next Generation Star Trek movies, and then he did that multi-part one on the first Star Wars prequel. And man, I just thought it was the greatest thing I'd ever seen. I mean, it's so funny, and he does that bit. And I think it's my favorite one is the Episode 2 review, because he has that bit where he's critiquing Anakin's technique flirting with Padme and going through all the creepy things that
children.
Yeah, and it's like he has like a red X or a check mark. Like when he does something good, it's a check mark. When he does something bad, it's a red X, and it's just so funny. The visual and he plays like a buzzer and
Going on like a rampage, talking about I killed them and the women in Britain, like slaughtering innocent children and women.
The one point he made that I thought was really, really good was the business in the original Star Wars when Obi-Wan Kenobi is reminiscing about his old friend, and and just that very line, and he was a good friend. And where do you really see that in the prequels? Answer:
Exactly.
Not bloody much.
Yeah.
Not bloody much anywhere.
That's one of the things I love about those videos is not only are they really, really funny, but they're great film criticism.
They're very observant.
Yeah, and they're great writing criticism too, because that point that he makes about how there are multiple lines of dialogue telling us that Obi-Wan and Anakin are great friends, but we don't see that at all. And that's what counts. You can't.
Yeah, and I would have liked to have seen that. Just the camaraderie, the coming up to speed, somebody making a mistake and somebody, picking up and, actually seeing what happened when he fell into that pit of Gondarks or whatever have you. But we never see that.
I think he made the nest of Gundarks thing like a gay joke between them, though, or something. Like the last time that he was stuck in Anakin's Gundark nest or something like that.
What? That sort of thing doesn't happen in Star Wars.
Speaking of Star Wars, has anyone seen the Star Wars 7 trailer?
I haven't
Oh,
watched
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
The one good thing about that was that one shot they have with a flight of X-wings coming in over the water. I thought that was a lovely, beautiful shot.
Yeah. I
It
thought
reminds me of, if anyone's ever played Star Fox 64, like the opening shot where they're just like going in above the water and just saying, check in, and it's just epic and great.
I thought it was interesting that there weren't any space shots. It was when you even with the Millennium Falcon, like it was on a planet.
Looked like it was over Tatooine.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. The first Star Wars trailer, and there aren't any stars. There are not. None of the shots are space shots.
Star Wars, Ground Wars.
Yeah.
J.J. Abrams, when he made those Star Trek movies, they were, in my opinion, awful because he took Star Trek and made it into like cheesy action and stuff, which is fine if you do it with something that's not Star Trek. But I guess his stuff works more for Star Wars, But my biggest fear is that he's going to turn like he's going to do what he did with Into Darkness, which is just take all the plot points and like major cultural parts of Wrath of Khan and just apply that to this and make it like A New Hope all over again, but with different characters,
Yeah, I hope it's not too referential.
Yeah, if they just keep going, this.
The second one, Into Darkness, was nothing but referential.
Yeah, and I still liked it. Like I liked both of Abrams' Star Trek movies, but even though I really liked Into Darkness, and I mean I liked it a lot. Like I liked it when I saw it in the theater. I liked it when I watched it subsequently, but it is too referential. I mean, there's so many little jokes and moments that are only there to underline some other part of Star Trek, Like, and you could lose almost all of that, and it would still be as good of a movie. It just kind of throws extra stuff into it that doesn't need to be there.
Yeah. Here's one other thing, though. That line in the original Wrath of Khan, he cheated. Well, you know what? Spock cheated.
Yeah.
Because he talked to himself. He's talking to himself. Actually.
Yeah.
But, I mean, talk about, man, the ultimate cheat.
Yeah.
It already happened to him, so I'll figure out what's going on.
Which makes sense, like from a practical standpoint, but doesn't make sense from a story standpoint. Like you don't want your heroes to be able to call up somebody and be like, "How do I beat the bad guy?"
Well, it's like that business where the guy calls up the screenwriter, says, "Hello, this plot line isn't working," or "How am I supposed to figure this out because we don't have the pink sheets yet, right?"
Right. Or like I always think of that scene in I think it's Wayne's World 2 where Wayne is looking for the church where his girlfriend is about to marry Christopher Walken, and he stops at the gas station to ask directions, and the guy playing the gas station attendant is a terrible actor. So Wayne like turns to the camera and says, "Do we have to put up with this? I mean, I know it's a small part, but can't we do better than this guy?" And they pull that guy out and bring in Charlton Heston.
Haven't seen Wayne World 2, so now I'm going to have to watch it.
It's really funny because
it's really underrated.
Yeah. Then there's and Heston delivers it with like this bittersweet, melancholy wistfulness of where he not only gives him directions to the church, but he's remembering like the girl that he knew back when he was young, and it's so funny because Heston plays it totally straight.
Was Orson Welles alive when they made Wayne's World 2?
No.
Oh, okay. Because
no,
they brought Orson Welles or something.
Now there was an actor, my friends. Orson Welles.
Have you ever seen the video, like Frozen Peas, like the blooper reel of his?
Yes.
I watched that with my dad the other day, and we were like on the floor laughing from that.
Oh God, yeah. Orson Welles is
like your moronic.
The standard rich and famous contract for Kermit the Frog and Company.
Yeah, I mean, because Orson Welles was one of those guys who was just a genius, and yet the most of his career was underwhelming because nobody would trust him with a production. So he ended up doing like all this TV and all these commercials and all these sort of embarrassing things that we can watch on YouTube now and go, holy shit, that's Orson Welles,
He will sell no wine before it's time.
Was that of a Transformer in the Transformers movie?
Yeah, he was. I think he was Galvatron in the Transformers movie.
in his own words, he was like, "I don't care about the role I play, a toy that kills other toys."
There's the story of Marlon Brando in the first Superman movie is one that I'm not sure if I entirely believe, because the story that they tell on the special features of the DVD is that Marlon Brando, was really embarrassed to be in the first Superman movie, and he was just doing it for the money, and he didn't really think it was going to be good for his career, and on when they were getting ready to actually start shooting, he told Tom Mankiewicz, the writer who wrote like the final draft of the script, he was talking to him, and Mankiewicz realized that Brando hadn't even read it. Like, he hadn't even read the script. And I believe that part. But then he says, Brando went and read the script, and when he came back, like, he was a completely changed man, and he loved it, and he brought his, family and his friends onto the set. And I'm not sure if I quite believe that.
I'm not sure I do either, because he didn't even want to talk about it in the Playboy interview that he gave back when.
Yeah.
And everything I've heard about him says he wanted to disavow that role altogether.
Yeah.
If I can, I bet Nicolas Cage read the script and did the movie anyway.
Yeah. All right, give me the money.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, like
Sir Alec Guinness, like, he hated being Obi-Wan Kenobi in the original Star Wars. Like, he hated it so much because he thought it was like the death of cinema and stuff. But like, there was like some famous incident where a kid asked for his autograph, and he said, "Only if you swear to never watch those movies ever again."
I've heard that.
He's an amazing actor, though. What was the film he did? It was something Hearts and Coronets.
Oh, because I really only know him from like Bridge Over River Kwai.
Bridge on the River Kwai.
Yeah.
Kind Hearts and Coronets, where he played like 6 characters or something.
Oh, yes.
And he's phenomenal.
MDD, imbue me with knowledge.
He was in Dr. Zhivago too. Alec Guinness. Yeah, he was a tremendous actor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think. Go ahead.
I was going to say the note about playing 6 different actors reminds me. Have you? You can come. If you had a thought, you can come back to this. But have you seen the movie Cloud Atlas?
Oh yeah.
With,
I haven't
Tom
seen
Hanks
that.
Haven't yet. Want to.
Okay,
it's a great movie.
It's another kind of interesting one where it has like the same group of actors, but it takes place like there's like 6 or so different stories set at different times in different places, but all played with the same actors. You should check it out when you get a chance. It's a very philosophically interesting movie.
My German teacher showed that he said it's an R-rated movie, and like in the first 5 minutes, like Tom Hanks throws a guy off a building or something, he's just like, it's such a good movie.
Henry, were you going to say something?
Okay.
No, I was just going to say I think The Fountain is better, actually. And it does exactly the same thing. It keeps the same actors, but in different times and in different situations.
What's it called?
The Fountain. It's made of
Aronofsky.
Yeah, thank you.
They're doing that with American Horror Story, too. Quite a lot of the same actors are retained from series to series playing different roles, like they were a company of actors who were doing different parts. And it's fabulous to see, because we don't have people doing that kind of work unless you go to see live theater and you see a company do something over the course of the summer. But this is in your living room. You get to see Jessica Lange sing David Bowie, which is just amazing.
I know. I'm a big fan of American Horror Story. I love it. My only criticism is that it can't ever be crazy enough for me. Like, the crazier it gets, the more I love it. Like my wife discovered it. Actually, I guess over the summer, because we hadn't watched any of it, and then we sort of binged on it on Netflix and Amazon Instant Video.
I did the same. I did the exact same. Yeah.
And we were like, why haven't we been watching this show?
And it's got the most amazing women characters. It's an incredibly feminist show. It's almost basically driven by female characters, and it took me a while to realize that. But once I did, it gave me a whole new appreciation for like the range of characters that women are playing, the good guys and the bad guys, and the mixed characters, and the unsympathetic and the sympathetic. And so I'm very excited about that show.
Yeah, my favorite moment, because like I agree with you. I love it. I think it's a great show, and as I say, I mean, the crazier it gets, the better it is for me. And me and my wife, we both like our touchstone for like the high point of just the wackiness of the series is that episode in the first season where Dylan McDermott's character, like, he buries a body in his yard and puts up a gazebo to cover it, like this all in one day. Like, his wife comes home from being out for the day, and there's just a gazebo.
That borrowing from the gazebo, the Tom Ewell flick? Where he's constantly talking with Alfred Hitchcock. How do I solve this problem? You know.
Yeah. It's a great, and to have a repertory cast like that, that's completely, unique. I would say it's an example of that question you asked me in the You Had to Ask video, Christie. Like, TV being such a better medium for writers now.
Yeah, there was a moment where film was the edgy place, where you had darker characters, and I think television was more saccharine. But it seems to goes in cycles. Yeah, and that's what you pointed out when you mentioned about television in the 50s.
Yeah, because television in the 50s, American television in the 50s, is one of my favorite periods of show business to study, because I mean some of my favorite writers of any medium, of film or literature or TV or whatever, worked in live anthology TV in the 50s. I mean, worked on shows like Studio One and Playhouse 90, Reginald Rose and Patty Chayefsky and Rod Serling. I mean, just amazing, incredibly talented writers. And they were the stars because the actors would change with every story. It was like a play every episode. And the writers were really the stars. And now it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, and I think back to the early day of film before they even had standards, and filmmakers were pushing the boundaries to such an extent that they had to bring in morality standards and language standards and nudity standards and all these sorts of things. So yeah, I think that open space, to push the edges and make more realistic, gritty, art is really important to have. So definitely.
And if you ever watch a film from before the code, from like maybe around from the early 30s, that has they're not easy to find, because even before the Hays Code, which was the morality code that sort of neutered Hollywood movies for 40 or 50 years. Even before that, they weren't, it wasn't like they were making porno movies, but every once in a while you can catch like a shot of like a woman coming out of a bathtub or something that you think, wow, that's really risque for the 30s.
Yeah. Or paganism, I would assume. Yeah, like some of the paganism, like feasting and dancing and women in dresses, cavorting, wildly, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and depictions of crime, that sort of thing, because the Hays Code was a lot of the standards of the Hays Code are a lot like the standards they imposed in the Comics Code in the 50s. Like, if criminals had to be shown being punished, you can't show crime as like a thing that's fun or a thing that could be profitable. Criminals can't get away with anything.
And yet Cagney got away with a lot. I mean, grapefruit in the face, why don't you?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, hitting women.
At the top of the world.
Yeah,
hitting women was okay.
James Bond was still doing that. Sean Connery would thump a woman every once in a while.
Yeah.
Just to show what a man he was.
Trek, where like Captain Kirk knocks out one of the green women or something, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But that's just. Yeah.
Is that why HBO can make such good series, because they don't have to pay attention to morality standards?
Yeah. Oh yeah, they're all gone now. It's fun, one of my favorite lines in Bride of Frankenstein is sort of an indirect result of the Hays Code, because there's a line in Bride of Frankenstein when Dr. Frankenstein is talking to his mentor, Dr. Pretorius, who is trying to talk him into making another monster, and he's like, "Oh, I won't do it, and Dr. Pretorius is giving him this, cell speech about how, you have the power of life and death, and you need to create, you created a man, now you need to create a woman, because remember, and in the original script, he said something like, think of nature or think of God if you prefer your fairy tales, and they made him change the line to if you prefer your Bible stories, but the way the actor says it, he says it really sarcastically, like, think of nature or think of God if you prefer your Bible stories. You know, you can tell he puts like a little bit of stank on it when he says it.
Yeah.
Glad he was able to play it.
Stories.
Yeah, you can always count on the British for putting stank on things correctly.
Yes. They are talented stankers.
Stories. Also talented villains. I mean,
Yes, Hans Gruber.
Yeah, they even play non-English villains
Yeah.
very well.
There was a like Super Bowl commercial about that, I remember, or something.
Yeah, with
Jaguar.
Yeah.
Cumberbatch, they had what's his face who played Loki, one other guy at least, and of course they all have the good taste to be bad guys who drive Jaguars.
Yeah.
Oh,
and they're really hot. They're really hot bad guys too.
Yeah.
So thumbs up on that. Very good list. You can keep going with that list.
Attractive about the guy who plays Loki because he's not conventionally attractive. Is it because he's like is he a good actor or something?
I have to say that
He's
one.
got a wicked smile.
Literally
a wicked smile.
the mewling Quim line is both offensive and erotic at the same time.
I guess you're right.
Yeah.
I guess it's like that charm that he gives off. I remember the Nostalgia Critic made an editorial all about that, like analyzing him and saying, oh, he's a bad boy, or he needs to be fixed, or he's a good actor.
Yeah. The thing is, he pays for the mewling Quim line the second that Black Widow turns to him and says, thank you for your cooperation. And as much as said, you've just been had.
Yes, but I think Tom Wilkinson's power comes in his stillness, like Anthony Hopkins. His ability to just be there and be still commands a certain like attention. You can't take your eyes off of him.
That's true, and that was very much like a Hannibal Lecter scene.
Yes.
Avengers. He's sort of like the caged villain.
Kind of odd, and like
Doesn't have a scared little girl in Johansson to play against because she's willing to be in his face 100%, and she gets the last laugh.
Right.
I'm having an old friend for dinner. That's a great line.
With some fava beans and a nice Chianti.
One of my favorite endings from any movie. Like, I love that's such a great line, and then when he walks off into the crowd and the music comes up, that's the ending of Silence of the Lambs is one of my favorite endings to any movie. Yeah. It's so satisfying. Even though this serial killer is loose on the world, it's like it feels good somehow. It's so wrong.
You know, Anthony Hopkins has a twin brother, and like he's a doctor. And someone on Reddit put a picture of like him helping give birth to their baby, and like they had the shot to where he's just like holding the baby, and it's like I think they put as this caption for the video, "Oh, Hannibal Lecter helped me deliver my baby today." And
that's amazing.
What did he do with the placenta?
Yeah. Did anybody see?
Nice some fava beans.
Yes. Oh, they'll take that away. Don't worry about that.
And that was one of those movies where they didn't make a sequel. It was just the one movie, no sequel. They just left it as it was because it was a fine movie on its own. And I refuse to accept any other form of reality.
I have to say there were a better prequel to it. The drag, what's called?
Red Dragon?
Manhunter.
Manhunter. Oh, yeah, Manhunter's great.
From like 84 or something.
Yeah, Manhunter's great. And watching Manhunter and then watching Red Dragon is like a great film school sort of thing to do because Manhunter is such a really, really good movie, and Red Dragon just isn't. And it's the exact same story.
Has anyone here watched the Hannibal show or whatever?
I didn't know there was a show.
Yeah.
No,
yeah, I haven't seen it. I keep meaning to try and catch up on it.
But it's like really good. Like they've watched it. I don't know.
I hear it's really good.
All the Transformers movies are really good. So.
Yeah, I hear that the Hannibal show is good, but I haven't checked it out.
Yeah.
I have like so many shows that I want to watch. I watched the pilot episode of the new Flash TV series. And I thought it was really, really cool. And then but I haven't had a chance to watch any of it since.
When was that on?
It's on now, like it's airing now, but I think that it started in September.
I don't have cable in my dorm room. Whatever.
I literally was going to click on the pilot, and then thought, I'm going to wait till after Steve's show. So I'm going to go watch The Flash. I had planned to watch it after this show. So.
Yeah, I've been watching it on Hulu. I don't have cable either. I watch all my TV on the internet.
Yeah, me too.
Well, like I major in music, but most of the time I'm like listening to like Boardwalk Empire or something while I'm playing piano or something with headphones on, which is kind of a good experience to have.
That's interesting. I sometimes listen to.
Ask,
yeah.
This sort of breaking topic a little bit, but still on film. Have you had a chance to see Interstellar yet?
I haven't had the chance to see it yet. I think
prioritize it. Oh, you are in for a treat. You are in for a big time treat.
I really want to see it.
One dumb element in it, and if you know what I'm talking about, that I wish wasn't in it. But besides that, it's like it's a really not perfect. It's a really good movie. Not perfect.
Yeah, I'll take one thing I really like about it is they deal honestly, I think, in a large portion with the whole issue of all the implications of relativity, and they don't blink about that, and there's some real powerful consequences as regards that. I wrote a piece on Atheist Nexus about it.
Yeah, I mean, and I mean, I think I know what you're talking about. I haven't seen the movie, but I've heard enough about it. I think I know what you're talking about.
Well, time dilation.
Time dilation.
They have to go down on a planet that has like
travel
gravity.
And proximity to high gravitational sources like a black hole.
Right. Yeah, and I mean those are such fascinating concepts that it's. I mean, I guess if you're doing like a space adventure movie and you just want it to be like a western in space, I can understand ignoring them. But I mean, it's stunning to me that more serious sci-fi movies don't take those issues on head on because they're so innately compelling.
Yeah.
You know.
And one of my other favorite things in the movie is that the humor in it is rather sparse, but the humor that is in it is just spot on with the some of the moments they have like these robot assistants that just have some humorous interactions that just it's a serious movie, but the way they implement it is just perfect.
Those
they have like
robot
a
assistants,
index where they can turn sarcasm up to like 0 to 100% or whatever. And they were saying, "Am I going to have to turn your power down to 0?" And he's like, "Okay, humor down to 50% or something."
Those robots were a very neat creation. I got a big kick out of those.
Don't spoil them for Steve because they're really interesting.
Don't spoil it.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either.
Okay, yeah, the robots are cool.
They're just interesting. I'm not going to say a darn thing else about them.
Okay.
So, Steve, did you want me?
Go ahead, Christie.
Yeah, I was just going to want to say, if you want me to do the pitch before the end of the show, I can make it really quick. So.
I would love for you to do the pitch before the end of the show.
All right, so this is reason number 2 why you should be a Patreon of Steve here for his channel, and that is, I kind of pointed to this a little bit in my question, but I really appreciate Steve's voice when he talks about issues and he brings his values, whether it's from a liberal perspective, which I agree with, or he brings a feminist voice that I know both men and women appreciate, and on other issues of equality. And in the case of activism, I would love for his voice to get out there more, for more people to hear it and hear the whole story, not just him being an atheist, but a whole person with all of these views and all of these values. And the easiest way to do that is to just do something. So it doesn't really matter if it's $1 a month or $5 a month or $10 a month. What counts isn't so much how much you give what you could give. The important thing is that you just do it. Just step over the line and do something, because this is the easiest form of activism. All you have to do is give, the cost of a cup of coffee or something, and Steve does all the work. You actually don't have to do anything. He does all the work. But 30 people who step over that line means he's closer to getting his voice out, getting those values out. And I think for the atheist community, the feminist community, a lot of communities, his is a voice that we want out there representing us. So step over the line, become a Patreon, and you'll hear at least 3 more reasons to become a supporter of Steve's in the coming months. So that's it.
Thank you very much for
Brava!
Listen
and there's
to
my
that.
cat again.
Thank you very much for saying
the speech.
Yeah, I always feel like NPR or something when she
Well, a little bit. That's how I see us as the YouTube of the NPR of YouTube. You know,
Yeah.
that's what you're doing. That's the kind of content I make, and people who like our content, you know, are the kind of people who support NPR. So, kind of is.
That's true. That's
Christie,
true.
what is your channel?
It's under my name, just Christie Winters. So.
Steve, I have a question.
Yes, go for it.
Have you ever, you've heard of the Drunken Peasants, right?
Oh yeah.
Have you ever been interested in going on there, or do they not want you on, or whatever?
I haven't ever talked to anyone on it. I don't know them personally. I've never been invited.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, they just found videos of people made fun of them and then invited them on the show, and then they came on.
Oh yeah.
Mainly because like the people that they make fun of are people that have like less of a subscriber base than the people that watch it live. So they're like, oh
Right.
boy, a lot of people are going to watch me.
Yeah, I don't know if they. I don't know if I would go on if they invited me or not.
Yeah, it is kind of raunchy.
Well, not only that, but it's just. It's. I mean, it's just. Well, first of all, the ones I've watched, like, it's just so long.
Yeah.
And I know you don't have to be on the whole
Yeah,
time.
like 2.5, 3 hours.
It's just so long, and that's one of the.
For me, because I love to listen to it when I'm studying.
Yeah, I don't know if I would go on if they invited me. I don't know if they'll ever even invite me.
Well, they take breaks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where they play off.
Bathroom breaks at least.
Yeah. I don't know.
I think you're allowed to get up to go to the bathroom whenever you want. I don't even think there's rules.
They're not even going to stop me if I try to get up to go to the bathroom.
I remember one time, like,
You will not go to the bathroom.
Where are you going?
I remember one time the Amazing Atheist brother Scotty, like he had to get up for his like third time to go to the bathroom, and then when he left, he just went, "Jesus, is Scotty's bladder the size of a golf ball? What's going on?" or something.
Right. Yeah, I don't. It's sort of a thing like where I don't with the Amazing Atheist in particular. Like, I don't wish him any harm. I don't wish him any ill will. I think if we met in person, I would probably get along with him.
I don't know if he'd get along.
Well, maybe
kind
I
of-
wouldn't. I don't know.
I sort of think of him as a Howard Stern of YouTube, you know,
Yeah,
the atheist
yeah.
community.
I want to know how he got on CNN and Steve doesn't.
Well,
I would have
I
loved.
forget about
See, this is why we support him on Patreon, right? Because we want to get his profile up so he'll be invited on CNN.
Yeah.
Damn Skippy.
Atheist in his most tame form possible when he was on CNN.
He actually, I actually thought he did pretty good on CNN.
Yeah.
I'm
He did
not
fair to middle, and I'll give him that.
Yeah. Made a fool of himself like always.
Yeah, it's easy when you're on opposite William
Yeah.
Lane Craig. The best strategy is to just let him talk.
True
And
story.
just like say no afterwards.
Yeah.
They
I'll
had
put
a-
up on my. Oh, I'm sorry. I was just going to say, I mean, I've watched some of his content. Some of it I find offensive. Some of it I find really funny. So I don't subscribe to him because he comes up on my what to watch so often I don't have to. But, you know, I have watched his content, and some of his stuff I agree with and enjoy, and then I just try to not watch the stuff that I think is going to piss me off. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
My biggest
yeah.
problem with him, plainly and simply, he shouts too much, and I have the same problem with Dusty. I mean, I like Dusty's material a lot better than I like Amazing Atheist, but don't shout at me. I mean, and Steve, that's one of the most attractive things about what you do is you. I mean, yeah, maybe you swear a blue streak, but you're not at 110 decibels.
Right.
I have bad hearing, so it helps me out, kind of.
Can you
Well, the thing was,
Turn the volume up. It works great. There's this little dial. It's called audio gain.
Well, the thing was, he was the guy that like, I never really thought about religion. My dad's an atheist. My mom is like a deist or something. She doesn't believe in a physical God. But I never really thought about religion and stuff when I was little. But then in 2010 or something, when I was going to high school, I started watching his videos, and I was like, what? It made me think, and I was like, oh yeah, I guess I'm an atheist now or whatever. So I've always felt like, oh, thanks for him.
No, he is really important because in my deconversion research, his name comes up in usually younger men's stories, you know, guys under the age of 25 who say they go on YouTube and they find his channel and they find him really funny and they learn through that comedy. So he is, in terms of like the atheist community, he's important in getting people to think. Definitely.
Oh yeah, and I mean, he has such a massive audience in terms of atheism, in terms of YouTube atheism. Yeah.
I mean,
A lot of that I have to believe is a product of his being allowed.
Sure.
But it's a demographic thing too. You know, the kinds of people that he attracts are a certain demographic, and that's the kind of entertainment that, you know, they will like from time to time. Whereas, people, middle-aged women like me in my 40s, I'll watch it from time to time, but I'm not going to be subscribing. So
it is kind of funny to think though who in the CNN staff was on YouTube or decided that was the person that they wanted to bring on up again. Like it's kind of interesting to think about like who was watching YouTube and thought this is the guy that we want to come up against William Lane Craig.
He's got the numbers. They can put him on as long as they say, okay, you don't swear, you don't do anything.
Yeah, it's. I'm sure that the size of his audience played a very large role.
He was invited on the Opie and Anthony show because he made a video like yelling at them, saying, "Oh, well, all they did to rebuke this guy who was making fun of Bill Maher was just yell, fuck you, Bill Maher, fuck you," and he was saying that's horrible. So Opie and Anthony were like, "Hey, come on our show and we'll debate you or whatever," and he said, "Fine, as long as you pay me," but they didn't do it. And he said that his only thing that he was going to do was just lean over and yell "fuck you" at them.
Wow.
Just to make fun of them in their face.
Well, on that note, we're a few minutes over the hour, but that's okay. We're having such a good time. Who's counting? But I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. I have to go find my spouse and see if we're still married.
Hope so.
I'm sure she's in another room watching Three's Company or something. So. But thank you guys for joining me, Cloud, Henrik, Christie, Lauren, and Peter, and all you guys for watching, and everybody who contributes to my Patreon campaign. Thank you so much, and thanks to Christie for saying such nice things and giving me such a nice pitch toward the end there. I appreciate everybody who contributes to this. It really makes my life easier and helps me continue to do what I do, and will enable me in the future to do even more without passing out from exhaustion. So I thank everybody for watching, and thank you guys for joining me, and we will do this again next month. So
thanks for having us.
Thank you, Steve.
Yep, thanks, Steve.
bye.
Nice.
Oh, we got a theme song now?
Does that mean I win?
Yes, you won.
No,
You
your
won the
princess is in
internet.
another castle.
My princess is in another.
Wrong game.